What's up, everybody? Here's something that everybody wants to know how to do, and that's buy a rental property. What do you need to look for? What do you actually need when you're buying a property? I'm going to show you guys everything that you're going to be needing here in the future when you do buy your guys' first property. The first thing you're going to need is credit. You're going to have some sort of credit built already, so that way you can actually qualify for a loan to buy your guys' first property. If you guys don't have any kind of credit, you can always easily apply for a credit card through Discover One, which is somebody that I would recommend. It's personally how I started my credit. Once you do have a credit, if you have any collections or anything like that, you can always reach out to a lot of companies to help you build your credit if you have low credit, because you do need to have on average around 640 or higher to be able to qualify for a loan. You're also going to need at least 2 years of tax returns. So they usually go based on the average of those 2 years. So for example, if you made $50,000 the first year and your second year you ended up making $100,000, then what you're going to qualify for is a loan that you can qualify for the $75,000, and that's the average of the 2 years that you ended up working. So you do need to have at least 2 years of tax. After you have all of that, you're going to go ahead and reach out to a lender. The lender is going to be the person that ends up getting you qualified for a loan. So they're like the middleman. They talk to the bank, they submit all the documents to the bank, so then that way you can go ahead and get approved. They are going to ask you a lot of different questions. They're going to ask you for a lot of different documents, ID, your tax returns, things like that, to get you guys qualified. Once you're qualified, you actually are going to receive what's called a pre-approval letter, and that's going to be a guide that you can give to your realtor that they're going to be able to help find you a home, and that way you're not wasting a lot of time looking at homes that are much more expensive. Last thing you want to do is drive around, look at these gorgeous homes and spend your time, get so emotional about the home, and at the end of the day you end up realizing that you're not even going to qualify for that home. So it's very, very important that you guys talk to a lender first before you guys go out and start looking at homes. All right, so you guys got your guys' pre-approval already. Now what's next? Now you actually want to reach out to a realtor, and what the realtor, what they do is they actually partner up with the lender. So you're gonna actually, they're gonna be working together. One's gonna give you the loan, and one's gonna show you properties. So now, if you have a really great realtor, they will be sending you guys a lot of different homes depending on what you're looking for. Right away, you want to let them know, hey, look, this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a rental property, something that I can actually cash flow, and you need to emphasize that part. Because you get a lot of realtors that send you a bunch of properties, but if it doesn't cash flow, it's not going to be a rental property that you want to keep. So once they know that, they should ideally start sending you guys some properties. And you can always go on Redfin, Zillow, Realtor.com to even see properties that are, broadcasted to the public. So you can be proactive and do that yourself as well. So that's the next step. Now, once you actually found the property, you need to make sure it cash flows. If it doesn't cash flow, you're wasting your time, and it's not a rental property, it's just a regular home. Now, the best way to find this out, and I'm going to teach you guys, this is one secret that I have. This is something that I learned from experience on buying properties, helping other people buy properties, even flipping properties, because I've been in that business as well. It's as easy as talking to your lender and saying, hey, look, I found this property. I really like it. Can you send me a breakdown of the monthly payment? Now, what they're going to do is send you what the purchase price is going to be and how much is that going to cost you monthly. And it's as simple as jumping on Redfin, jumping on Zillow, jumping on Rental Meter, even Craigslist sometimes as well, and finding out, okay, if I buy this property, what's the average rent that I can actually get in that home? And depending on the rent and depending on what your mortgage is, obviously you want your rent to be more than your mortgage. So then that way you know that if you do end up buying this property, I am going to make some cash flow. You never want to buy a property that is not going to cash flow right away. It's not an investment, it's going to be a liability, and it's going to hurt you instead of help you, because at the end of the day, if you can make even $100 more every single month, that's another $100 that you can start saving to buy your second property, and then it ends up compounding, and all of a sudden you have 10, 20, 30 properties. Now, I found this easier for me personally. I know some other people they usually end up trying to buy newer homes, but I found it much more easy for me to buy older homes that need some kind of work. One, because it's easier to negotiate. I'll talk to the seller and I'll say, hey, look, property needs a lot of work. I want to go ahead and discount the property, give me $20,000, $30,000 off. I've even helped clients get $60,000 to $70,000 in discounts, just depending on their situation. So it makes it easier for me to get an actual deal out of the property. Now, when it comes to brand new homes, usually when it comes to a new home, you got to think about it like a new car. You're going to end up paying MSRP. You're going to end up paying top dollar for that property. And it's much harder to cash flow that property. Usually these type of properties are when you're more established, you have a lot of money in the bank, you have a lot of properties, you want safe investments. You don't want to wake up and deal with the headache that my AC went out, my roof went out. But, if you're not in that situation, what I would recommend is going towards older homes, just because there's so much upside in the actual money that you're going to cash flow. And as well, if you do end up putting money into the property, ideally your property should be worth more. So if you put 10,000, all of a sudden that 10,000 is going to bring you a return of 20. And that's ideally what you want to do when putting money into property. Now, one of the most important things out of this entire video, it doesn't matter, you can mess up any other step, but this is probably the most important thing that you can do when buying a rental property. It's the location, right? You do not want to buy a property that's in a terrible location. If the market ever goes down, usually the ones that end up taking the biggest hits are the worst locations and the best locations, right? You want to shoot for something right in the middle. If you get a really bad location and it's cash flowing, number one, with bad locations, right away, you're going to get bad tenants, right? A lot of bad tenants end up liking to stay in bad locations, and that's just the way it goes with real estate. If you get something right in the middle, you'll get someone with medium income, right? Market goes down, the properties don't go down as much. And at the end of the day, it's a much safer investment. But if you do end up going to get a more expensive property, you got to start taking consideration, okay, am I going to be able to rent this for a year or two, right? People that can qualify to be able to pay $2,000, $2,500, $3,000 for rent, usually those people don't stay there for that long because they can easily qualify to buy another property. So there is a little bit more risks when you buy with lower end properties and higher end properties. You do want to stick something to the middle. The rule of thumb is, would you send your daughter at night to go collect the rent, right? If you wouldn't send your daughter at night to go collect the rent, do not buy that property whatsoever. But if you would, then consider it as a good investment. Now, same thing, if you do end up buying a higher end property, there is some times where you can find a pretty good deal, but at the end of the day, it's all about how much you end up purchasing that property. So if you purchase it for a great price, then it's a good deal. Buy it. Now you found a property, you like the location, now what's next? Now that's where you get with a realtor and you actually start submitting offers on the property. Usually if you get super lucky, the first property, you'll get your offer accepted. Right now, especially the way the market is, I feel like the first property you find, you will get it accepted. You'll get in contract. You can get closing costs, but it depends on the market. Sometimes we come into a seller's market where people are paying $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 over the market, or you have a lot of investors that can't find any investment properties. So anything that's a decent return, you end up getting a lot of competition, but it just depends on what market you're in. Right now, with this kind of market, I feel like maybe the first, second, even the third property, you probably end up being in contract. But typically, whenever I do help anybody buy a home, I usually say it takes usually 1 month to 3 months to find the property. And obviously, that depends on how consistently you're actually driving the properties and things like that. I do recommend driving as many as possible, so then that way you can find out, all right, this property is really good in this location. Maybe this one I'm not getting a lot of what I'm looking for. It's not as compelling to me or to the renters that I'm going to put into that home. So things like that, you want to actually start looking, so then that way you can actually have in your head a comparison of what you're wanting to buy, and then actually start, narrowing down your decision. All right, so here comes the exciting part. You're under contract. You got one of your offers accepted. What's next? So the next part is you're actually going to start doing the inspections on the home. Now, typically the realtor does have connections to get these inspections started. You want to do your roof, home inspection, and then the termite inspection as well, right? But don't get scared. I've noticed that this is the part where a lot of first-time buyers get scared when buying a property. The property, they end up getting you inspection with tons of things on the list, and it seems like the property is going to break down or it's going to fall over, but it's not, right? It's very common. Even with new homes, you'll find things that are very wrong with the property, but it's a property, humans made it, so it's part of the process. But you do want to use that to your advantage though, right? So if the property has $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 worth of work that it needs, at least now you can use that and say, hey, look, seller, this is what it needs. This is how much, either one, I want in credits, or two, I want you to repair. It's very common to get credits just because a lot of sellers don't want to repair things, being that they're more liable. Now, if they do the repairs, they're going to be liable if the work's not done correctly, and it's a headache that everybody wants to avoid. But just because you do get a house that needs work doesn't mean that you're going to be guaranteed to actually get money back, right? There is some cases where maybe you got the deal really good to begin with, that the sellers are going to be like, you know what? I don't want to put any more I don't want to put any more money in. I don't want to give up more profit. I'm not going to sell it for anything less. The only thing that you do got to consider is you spent money on inspections. So if you really don't want to pay top dollar or the price that you felt was fair when you first got in contract, then at that point you would want to walk away from the deal. But if you feel like it's a great deal, then I would say just go ahead and purchase it. You do find a variety of different types of sellers depending on when you buy the property, how they're feeling about the property. It's just emotions are all over the place when you do end up finding everybody's, there's a reason that everybody's selling, and you don't know why the person's selling, and it might be hard for them to take another $10,000-$15,000 out of their profit to give to you to buy. So it just all depends on the sellers. All right, so you guys had the perfect luck. You guys found the right property. It's cash flowing. It's a rental. So what do you do next? Especially if you ended up buying an older home, now you want to start actually fixing the property, whether it needs new flooring, it needs paint, you need to paint the outside, you need to fix the fascia on the outside. And now you want to start doing the renovations on that property. And speed is king in this part. You want to get it done as soon as possible. Every single day, you got to look at every single day. For example, if you're charging $2,000 a month, every single day has the cost of you not renting it out. The sooner that you can rent it out, the sooner you're going to actually start making a profit from that property. So any free time that you have, whether if you're going to do it by yourself, you need to go out there and hammer everything out. You need to get it done. If you're going to hire contractors, you need to start getting everybody done. You need to start calling everybody as soon as possible so they can actually start and go out and work on the property. It's very, very vital. Speed is the king when it comes to real estate. If you guys want to make as much money as possible, you need to get things done quickly. You need to realize that time is only against you. The sooner you can rent it out, the sooner your profits are, and the sooner you can actually start realizing a gain on that investment. So that's the last part. If you do want to end up buying a rental property, those are the steps. If you did like this channel, it is a new channel. I'm going to start uploading every week or every other day to get the channel going. If you did like it, go ahead and hit the subscribe button or hit the like button. And I'm gonna be pushing out more content. I'm gonna show you guys how to actually flip properties. I'm gonna show you guys how to get private loans. Right, I have a lot of private loan investors. I've spent millions of dollars in 1 month. Right, buying properties. I flip properties, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, $100,000 in profit. I'm going to show you guys a lot of that stuff in the other videos. So if you do want to be a part of that, if you do want to go ahead and see all those videos, I'm going to break it down. I'm going to show you guys how to get started in real estate. I'm a real estate agent. If you got any realtors out there, I'll show you guys how to actually become a very successful real estate agent where you're making a lot of money. So those videos will be coming out very soon. So if you do want to be a part of that, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and like it for the YouTube algorithm. All right, thanks guys.